Yeah, good to see everybody back. It's always good when we can make it all back doing what we were doing the year before, and good to see all of you doing the same thing. And this is not our every single year occurrence, but it seems to be at least every other year where we open up with a Power 5 school and on the road. And sometimes we'll have a local team, I mean a 1AA at home first, but this is the way it's happened quite a bit. And so, as usual, our kids, our players are excited about going. It's not hard to get prepared in preseason when you know you're opening up on national television with Nebraska. Your players just have a little more bounce in their step. There's a little more enthusiasm and excitement and focus as we have had the last month or so since we've come back. And it's a formidable challenge. Nebraska has hired one of the bright young coaches in the country to come back to his alma mater, and it will be an electric crowd. It will be an electric night. It's one of the great venues in college football. I've been fortunate enough to coach and broadcast in that arena, and it's just a great. It's not the biggest. It's just one of the most traditional and successful at filling up, and they have great crowd, great fans. It'll be a super challenge for us. But we're excited about it. So we're tired of blocking and tackling each other. We're looking forward to a little bit of somebody else, and we've got a few more days of that as we prepare for Nebraska. But it's going to be and we're prepared. And we're excited about the season as well, coming into 2018. And I'll just open up for questions.
What's the challenge in having, this is for a kickoff story, 3 of your first 4 games being against Power 5 conferences? What can you take from that? Power 5.
Well, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, do we like playing 3 Power 5s on the road out of the first 4? No, I don't prefer that. Is it what we have? Yes. We played Iowa State at home last year, so we have to play them at their place this year. That's a home and home. We decided to pick up 2 money games instead of 1, and Northwestern is coming off a 10-win season and a bowl victory, and of course Iowa State is coming off a bowl victory and a win over top 5 Oklahoma and TCU last year. But you know what? I'll be honest with you. We are able to focus just on one. It's, as much as you would say, okay, look at these next 4. We've got Morgan State in there. I think our focus has been so clearly on one. It might be overload if we focused on all 4.
Terry, how do you get that us versus them mentality into the team? It's like, hey man, how much fun is this? You know, you make that tackle, you get that run back, you make that Oski on down the line. We're going to put them on their hands.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's not hard to create that. I mean, there's not a player on our team that was recruited by Nebraska or probably a Big 12 school, Big 10 school, and so there's a little bit of that always when you're playing somewhere where you got overlooked. But I think we in the MAC have these kind of games. I don't know if it's beneficial to get into that us against the world mentality, but it's what you do, and it's what the players will naturally do. Nobody believes that we can do this and all that stuff. We know that come Sunday morning there will be an upset in college football on Saturday. Whether it will be us or somebody else that does it, it will happen, and it'll probably happen in the American Conference. So our players, the us against the world, why not us? You know, why not us? You know, again, Nebraska, we don't get them at the best of times because you got a new coach who's making a first impression, who's got a lot of excitement, motivation. He's got his pedigree for championships is solid from playing to coaching, and he brings an outstanding scheme to Nebraska to this game. So, but it will be. I mean, I don't think they'll be talking about Akron all that much on the telecast. Although I worked with Tim Brando for 6 years, he and I worked together, did a radio show together for 6 years. I'll be mad at him if he doesn't say something. You know, like my dad and I, we talk every morning, and our last comment we say to each other is, "You say something good about me, I'll say something good about you." That way, if we're in enough different states in America, we'll cover each other everywhere we go. So I'll be sure to tell Tim Brando, you say something good about me, and I'll say something good.
Coach, as you sit here right now, after going through camp and getting ready for Nebraska, what do you think the strength of your football team is right now?
Yeah, I think it's the leadership and experience. It really has been. This is probably as quality a group of young men I've had to coach in a long time. I'm trying to think back. It's my 25th year as a head coach in college, and when you think back to all the teams that you've had, it's hard to kind of rank them. But I've talked to my coaches more than once about what a great bunch of guys this is. Now there's a lot of seniors that are playing. I think 9, maybe 10 starters on defense that are seniors. Offensively, we got enough 5 or 6 senior starters. And boy, they just lead. They lead well. They've got good character. These kids are all here to graduate from college. And again, over the last 7 years, we've had to bring some transfers in, and there's been some ups and downs with that. And that's part of that. You'll notice Nebraska's gone crazy with that this year. They've got transfers from every pot because they're trying to infuse success into their program, and that's what we had to do early on. And now we're focusing on a 4-year plan and 5-year plan for our high school players. But this has been, I think, the thing that I like about this team is the character and the maturity. It's just a group of guys. We just voted for captains. I haven't announced that anywhere until right now. We voted on our captains: Ulysses Gilbert, Kyle Ritz, and Kyron Brown. And one's offense, defense. I'm not sure which one's defense and specialties with Ulysses and Kyron. But that's a great group of men. I mean, you're talking about graduates from college. I know. Kyle Ritz has his degree in biomedical engineering. Kyron Brown is also a graduate of the university and then to grad school. And I want to say Ulysses is, but he may not be since he's only a 4-year guy. I don't think he's been here 5. Those other guys are already graduated undergrad, and we know Ulysses will graduate as well. But I think the thing that we're going to I'm going to ask these players to hang their hat on is the leadership and maturity of this football team. And there's a lot of it, a lot of grown-up young men that I'm counting on. And with that, I think you'll see more depth on defense. We've got inexperience at wideout, but just the best talent I think we've had top to bottom. Overall, running back, we're a lot of young ones out there, but a lot of talent. And if we got a couple offensive line places that are filled now, and if they feel as nicely as we think that we could, we'll be as good or better than we were last year there. Cato Nelson, we've been kind of plugging him as the quarterback in waiting. He's been our quarterback in waiting since he got here, and after a freshman year, then a redshirt freshman year, and starting the last 3 games. I think we've been kind of waiting for that. Alex Remart did a great job as his backup. Even at some point had a great spring practice one day where I said, you know what, that's pretty good competition. I'm not going to say who's the quarterback. That didn't last more than a day or 2 because I think Cato just went right back out and asserted himself. But I like these guys are fun to coach, and so I'm looking forward to all that. But maturity, I think, is what I like about this group, just the experience, maturity, and the character of this football team.
What is different about Cato from the time you started that first game in the middle of last season to now? Is there a difference?
You know, he just said, what happens, more reps, more number one, more times running our offense, you get better and better. We remember he had about 2 days to get ready for Miami, and we didn't play that well and lost to them. Probably if you look at every team we lost to, all 7 losses, 6 of them were teams that won 11 or more games, won their conference, won a bowl game. Miami was one of those that was probably had a team very similar to ours, and Cato got his feet wet. The next week he came back and had a phenomenal game against Ohio and threw 4 touchdown passes, and then we beat Kent State. And then we played 2 teams that were just better than us. I mean, I hate to say it, Toledo and Florida Atlantic, both conference champions, both 11 game winners. We lost. And so Cato didn't go out there and knock the lights out, but our team didn't either. And so I think what happens with Cato, every game he gets better and better just as they say, the game slows down for you. I always associate that with driving a NASCAR because I used to love to watch NASCAR. And guys got 15 different things, gadgets looking him in the face going 180 miles an hour, and you wonder how he put a foot on the brake, a foot on the gas, a foot on the what's the other thing? What?
Accelerator?
Whatever it is. And then look at all those gadgets. I think of a quarterback who does it over and over again. He begins the clutch. I was thinking of the word clutch. Gas.
Show our ages with the clutch.
Well, don't pros. I thought anyway. I'm amazed at how people can drive a car 180 miles an hour that close to each other. But you know it slows down for them. I think of that as quarterback. He gets in a game, people coming at him full speed. The more he gets in that atmosphere, the more the game slows down for him, and he's able to respond. And I think that's probably as much as anything what we're seeing with Cato. Now, this will be a big game, but he won't be the youngest quarterback on that field, you know. And so he won't be the rookie.
Is your defense aware that they're only dealing with one scholarship quarterback there? I mean,
Well, you're making some, you're suggesting that we would advantage, we could knock out that one quarterback. I'm not going there.
Well, I mean,
Well,
come
we
on.
only have 2 right now because Robbie Kelly has got a sore shoulder, and so it's debatable whether he's going to be ready to go. We've got some walk-ons after that. No, you know what? I've also watched too many guys, the quarterbacks that are walk-ons at Power 5 schools who always wanted to go to that school, who always wanted to be there, and they might have taken that walk-on over scholarships to a lot of places. And that happens sometimes as well. And so I'm not, this guy looked really good. If you watched their spring game, it was clear this was their #1 guy. This was the guy they're going to build their future on. And this is what he did at UCF. He started I want to say a redshirt freshman or a freshman quarterback and won 6 or 7 games the first year, and then went undefeated the second year with that quarterback. And he's obviously has enough confidence in his system and where he's going with this program that he's going to build it with the quarterback that he wants. And they will be much more about a lot of players at the Power 5 level than just the quarterback against us. But I'm sure he won't be starting for Nebraska for a coach who was a heck of a quarterback at Nebraska, unless he knows how to play quarterback.
Coach, Coach, about Cato, can AJ now open the playbook and see what Cato can do? And I know he was scaled down a little bit coming in those games last year, but now that he has a full spring, full fall, can he open the playbook?
Yeah, I think Cato can handle everything we're doing now. I don't think there's anything held back. You would like to be a more balanced football team. We haven't run the ball as well as I'd like for us to run the football. And when you can run the football, I call it getting a breather. Anytime you can call a running play with no passing game, they call them RPOs, run pass options, no RPOs attached to the run. The quarterback doesn't have to think too much. He can rest his mind. Anytime I can call a running play 1 out of 4 times or 5, and there's no pass play option tied to it, the quarterback gets to rest his mind. So I would like for us to continue to develop our running game so we don't have to put the quarterback under that type of pressure every minute. Everything is a read and an adjustment and a change up. But Cato has been a quarterback all his life. He was one of the best high school quarterbacks in Florida. He grew up in that 7-on-7 league that they have around Florida. And so he's been a quarterback all his life. Alex Ramard is also someone that understands how to be a quarterback. That's just what he's done. He's very, very cerebral in his approach to the game, and he does a good job too of understanding the mentality of a quarterback position.
How much did Alex push him?
I don't know that you could see it out there. I think Alex, he just got closer and closer to running the offense like Cato. And there was days that Alex was on that you said, well, you know what, I can play either of them today. I can play either of these. I don't know if I said, okay, I'm going to put this guy over top of that guy. But I'd say there were days that I said, you know what, I would be very comfortable playing the second team guy. But I don't know that it got out there to the point where we said, you know, I think Cato's got a chance to lose his job right now. He was clearly #1. Now, I don't like for the quarterback position to be treated exactly like every other position. I want my team to know that I believe in my quarterback. And so when I name one, I kind of want him to be my guy. I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be this guy maybe and that guy maybe, if I can avoid it, you know. I was watching a 1997 Florida State, Florida game on ASC TV the other week night. I don't know if any of y'all watched that. Steve Spurrier played Danny Werfel and, no, 2 quarterbacks. He played Jesse Palmer, and every snap he changed quarterbacks. Every single snap he played a different quarterback. Now that nobody's got the guts to do that with Steve Spurrier, but it's kind of hard for you to say this is the guy. Man, this is our guy. We're going to hang our hat on. If you're not really, you got to convince him. But anyway, I think Cato's the guy right now. We're going to hang our hat on.
Couple names, at least one name missing from the depth chart. DeAndre Brimage Is he done for the year? Or?
No, we thought he hurt his knee that last big scrimmage we had, and they thought for sure ACL, and he doesn't even have a torn MCL. He's got a strained MCL. They're thinking 3 or 4 weeks, which is great news. Gives us some depth at that defensive line. He was about third team, but he's a third team with the ability to play. He's a very, very tough guy who can be a thick, hard-nosed guy inside. So hopefully, by the time we get to the conference, he'll be back.
Did you lose your starting left guard?
No, we moved him. That's counsel. We moved him to right tackle because we never really found the guy. Foreman, who's a junior college tackle that we signed out of junior college to Oklahoma. He had a shoulder problem, and he didn't get cleared till like this week. So we had to move counsel as our best lineman over to right tackle. Hunter Corn's the new guy. He's the redshirt freshman that's moved into the starting. He's the starting left guard.
That's the name I didn't recognize.
Yeah, he's a big 300+ pound redshirt freshman out of St. Pete, Tampa area, and it's just had a real good preseason for us.
You talked about the Frost hype, the electricity of this game. Is it elevated because Frost allegedly played on that last Nebraska championship team?
Well,
and he's coming home.
Yeah, this is part of their lore. I mean, you went back and look at all the coaches that have been head coaches at Nebraska. Almost all of them played at Nebraska. It's like that's been there. And there's nothing like taking your star quarterback and making him your coach. You think of Spurrier at Florida. I coached against him many, many years, and that was always the way they wanted it to be. Their star. And of course, Frost was the kind of quarterback. He led them to a championship in '97, and that was the year they opened with Akron.
Right.
He beat Akron 50-something to 14, maybe. And they went on to win the national championship that year. That was the year I was at Auburn. We played Peyton Manning in Tennessee for the SEC championship that year. And we lost that game, and he won the national championship. But yes, I think that's without a doubt. Expectation is for Nebraska to go back to doing what they want to do. If you look at their statistics of how much they've won, how many conferences they've won, how many home games they've won, they're one of the 5 teams in the history of college football, I think, to win over 800 games. All these things that come from great tradition of winning football games. They've had incredibly long home winning streaks at their stadium. And to bring Scott Frost back, and that was, I want to say, Tom Arnsbourg's final team. He retired after he won that national championship. Yes. And '97, he won 3, in the '90s, and he retired the very next year from that team. So, yeah, I mean, that'll be one of the reasons they're all excited.
Coach, what about the transition on the defense to Coach Stroud? How's that transition gone? And has Coach Amato gotten those gotten it out of him, or is he still? Does he still have those coaching pains?
No, I think Coach Amato was ready to retire. He didn't go as long as my old man, but he went a long time, and he enjoyed it. He was great for the game, great for us, and he was getting close to that 80 age. He wasn't quite there. He's in his 70s, and so I think he was. I know Peggy, his wife, was ready for him to come home and see the grandkids, and he'll always be missed because he was such a contributing factor over the years, as well as those 6 years that he was here. Coach Stroud has been the perfect transition because Coach Stroud was his right-hand man. Not only did Coach Stroud play for him at Florida State, where he coached Coach Stroud. That's when he was a defensive line coach. He coached Coach Stroud, and then Coach Stroud went on to become his assistant head coach at North Carolina State and coached his defensive line. And then for the 6 years Chuck was here on the sideline, Todd was right beside him every play, helping him call plays, and if he forgot about something, he'd add something. So he was there to help him call plays for all those 6 years. So what I did, Todd, deservedly so, he deserved to be our coordinator, and I thought it was time, as well as that right-hand man of mine that Chuck was to the associate head coach. But I also wanted to bring in some new blood. It gave me a chance to say, you know what, let's bring in some new blood. And Joe Tracy was perfect. Joe Tracy has been a defensive coordinator at Akron, at Cincinnati, at USF. Beat my dad 19-9 one year as a head defensive coordinator at USF. UCLA. Had a great experience at putting defenses in and running them. And he coached at Akron, and he's a high guy. And I thought, let's make him co-coordinator, and that putting those guys together can give you some new wrinkles, can infuse with some new ideas, which I said, and most people aren't fortunate enough to coach in the same conference for 6, 7, 10 years. Once you've been there, you better not stick around doing the same thing every year. Everybody knows what you're doing. And sometimes you got to force yourself. You need change, just so you don't do the same thing you've been doing for over and over. I think hopefully we'll have a few wrinkles, although the style of play, you want them to continue to understand the style of play. But there'll be some wrinkles that would come from Joe. Otis Mounds does a great job as our defense pass coordinator, and we added Marcus Watley from St. V, who's been just a great asset to us. He's got the defensive ends, Todd's got the defensive tackles, Joe's got the linebackers, and Otis has got the secondary. We took Mike Woodford. Mike Woodford. We took Mike Woodford and moved him to his special teams coach entirely. And that's the way most teams are going with this 10th coach, and moved him to special teams entirely.
It still amazes me about what Scott Frost has done. Take the whole staff. You may take 1, 2, maybe 3, but to take the whole staff from his
well, there's
staff
some obvious
to
reasons
Lincoln.
for that.
Sure, I understand that, but I mean, it's still a little surprising.
You're going from Central Florida to one of the premier programs in the country, and I would imagine salary level jumped up several hundred K on each of those positions.
Sure.
And how do you win every game and not take everybody with you? You know, it's kind of, I mean, that's almost like punishment for doing a good job. That's a hard one.
I'm just saying.
That's hard to do, because I know when I've gone from one school to another, and I'm saying, okay, I better keep a couple of coaches on the staff to get some continuity. I got some coaches that I think probably didn't do as well as I'd like, and I'm going to replace. It's hard to take everybody with you, and that is pretty remarkable, but I can't imagine anybody on that Central Florida staff not wanting to go to Nebraska with him.
Yeah, but it's
unusual.
Wait till the wintertime.
When you prepare for this game,
right,
you're going to look at UCF film. Do you look at when you're judging individual players, do you look at the Nebraska guys, like they have 5 returnees on defense? And what do you do about the quarterback? Do you actually watch him as a junior in high school, or is that, do you know?
I think, we have a little spring ball. You know, he played spring ball. We've got their spring game, and so you get to see a little quarterback style. And then you've got to watch Central Florida offensively and defensively, because he did return every one of his staff.
Right.
And how can you be that successful? Now again, they led the nation in offense, I think. They were number 1 offensive team in the country. And defensive, they were solid. Every coach came over. You experienced all that success. So I'm thinking, I wouldn't change too much if I was in that situation. But you also have to look at Nebraska for looking personally, which defensive end rushes. How does this guy rush? How does this guy block? Is there any weaknesses here? And then you watch the spring game to see if you can see this quarterback and how he plays. And then you try to hope you can figure all that out and find out, what they're doing. I think the biggest thing is he's good at what he does. They're going to execute well. They're going to have football players that are excited about the style of play that they have now. And they're going to want to make a showing. They're going to want to show good that first game.
Go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
One thing we haven't talked about, your running back situation. How much, is a running back by committee? Is Van Edwards a clear number 1?
Yeah, Van's clear number 1. I guess sometimes it's running back by committee if nobody jumps out and is the guy. We've had some of that, in the past. I think John Chisholm, when we first got here, was kind of the main guy. Connor Huntley came in after that. Van Edwards is a senior. He's had a great spring. He's in great condition. He's not missed a day with his work habits. Deltron Sands broke his leg last year and missed spring football. But he looks to be, he's number 2 just because as he's gotten healthy, he's got the experience. Then after that, we've got some guys that we got to see how it goes, But I think Van Edwards is 195 pounds. He's, really fast. He's had a great spring. We'll let him carry as much load as he can. I wish I don't come from the school where my back gets 35 carries a game. I almost wish I did, because that's nothing unusual in the Big Ten. To see an old Wisconsin tailback run 35 times a game, but that's not usually what you see as much in a spread, no huddle offense, where your backs and receivers both go in and out. You don't line up as much. We would like Van to be number 1 and play. After Van and Deltron, I think you got to see who's healthy enough, because we've had the young guys didn't get to show themselves as much you would like. But I know Jamarlin Suggs out of Akron East had a really good preseason, and got there. So he's really sitting number 3, along with Keandre White, who was the true freshman out of Dillard, who was here in December, and he's 235 pounds. He's a back that's bigger, and but he's had a sore shoulder. Devonair Floyd and Abraham Alsey both had been injured a lot of the preseason, did not get that shot that you really don't know how they can go against live. Missed almost all of our live scrimmages, and those are 2 that we don't know as much about.
How much did missing that spring session hurt the Suggs?
Well, I don't know. It definitely didn't help him because, but Deltron wasn't there, so there was nobody. And Edwards was going to be number 1 probably no matter what happened. So it doesn't ever help you to miss. But Jerome's a very mature guy that just jumped right up there, and he's got a shiftiness. He's about 190 pounds. He's taller and leaner than Deltron and Van Edwards, but he's got a real shiftiness where he can slip a guy
Yeah, he
pretty
doesn't
good.
strike me as being overly fast, but he hits the hole.
Well, him and Deltron, I wouldn't say him and Deltron, either one of those guys are overly fast. They just run the football very well. Got good vision, and they're good football players, and they run the football.
One thing that I wanted to ask is, you went through the pressure at Auburn, and in Alabama that is a big pressure. Does Scott Frost know, even though he played in Nebraska, knows what kind of pressure, because they have not been very well since they've joined the Big Ten. They haven't had that dominance that they had in the Big 8 and the Big 12.
Yeah, it's different.
And the fan base has been 8-3, 9-3. They ran a couple of good coaches, like a Bo Pelini ran them out of town. Does Scott, even though he played there, do you feel that he knows what that pressure is?
I can't speak for Scott Frost. I know you didn't mention Frank Solch, who never won less than 9 games.
That's right.
From an old Northeast Ohio football player who never won less than 9, and they showed him the door. But he was the old saying, "Don't never be the guy that follows the guy.
Right.
Be the guy that follows the guy that follows the guy." He was the guy that followed. He was the guy that followed the guy.
He's filing Mike Riley.
You know what? My thoughts on Scott, having been at his age or younger even, and won a few games. I won a few games when I went to Auburn before I lost, and you begin to think you know it all. You begin to become. No, I don't. That's not negative. You believe very much in yourself.
Yeah.
You believe that you can turn anything around. And I think Scott Frost, if I'm not mistaken, has a great sense of confidence in that he knows what he's doing. And so I don't think he goes to bed at night saying, "Oh my gosh, what's going to happen?" Because I know when I was at Auburn, I had no idea, because I was too young to think, "Oh, what if I don't do this or don't do that?" So and I don't think that is that. I think that's kind of why young coaches sometimes are so successful. They don't have all those negative thoughts in their head when they go to sleep. It's like golfers. You ever wonder why a golfer can't putt? It's the easiest part of the game, but it's the first. It's all in their head. What goes through a guy's head when he's putting after he's missed about 40 of them to millions of dollars? But anyway, I think Scott Frost has got so much upside. I don't see him not just waking up every morning just full of confidence that they're going to be a great program.
Okay.
A couple of quick points of order. I'll give you quick. So you talk about some of these younger backs, White and Alsey. And
right.
Now you've got the option of playing them up to 4 games.
Yeah.
Without having a red shirt.
The red shirt.
Without that counting against their eligibility.
Right.
That could be. I think people have kind of glossed over that.
It's huge.
It's huge.
And we talk about it all the time. It's not just your running backs,
right?
All your freshmen.
All your freshmen.
You go out there and play a real hard non-conference schedule like we do, and maybe you play a lot of your young people. And after 4 games, you'll find out if they're really mature enough to get to your conference, or to help you. Or they get better and better in practice every week, and by the last 4 games of the season, when you get people banged up, you can play in the last 4 and still get the red shirt. And they're there to help you, because remember, we could have played Cato a couple of years ago. We'd been in 3 bowls in a row. And so and then you take 3 running backs like Keandre White, Floyd, and Alsey. You say, okay, each get 4 games. We're going to play one guy 4 games, the next guy 4 games, next guy 4 games, and all of you can redshirt. And not that, you say, well, I guess you could do that. Or you could do it if you just want to play a big guy in with the older guys. So it does give you a chance. I think it's a great rule. I was for, we used to have 4 to play 5 to play 4. And I always thought there ought to be 5 to play 5. I mean, if that's all. But nowadays we don't graduate. We graduate in 3.5.
Right.
See, when I was playing, or even when I started coaching, we never paid for summer school. We never even brought our kids back for summer school, and we never brought them back for that first summer before the freshman year. Now, most of our guys are graduating before their senior year of football. It's no longer the argument that a lot of people don't understand college football. Well, do your kids ever graduate? They all graduate.
Right.
I mean, if they're going to play here 4 years, unless they quit football or quit school, they all graduate, and they graduate fast. And so, but this will give you a chance to really, I think, especially for us, the MAC, we don't see a lot of our guys going out in 4 years and declaring early for the NFL draft. You know, our guys will be those that can really gain from it. And I'll say this: I'll bet you 1/3 of our guys are already into their masters, paid for.
And they can. I mean, then you can get a guy technically for 5 seasons. I mean,
Right, exactly. You get 5. Right.
Yeah.
And Keandre Wright came in January, so he gets another half a year there. You know, for anybody that came.
He might have 2 degrees or 3. A couple. Your newest. You know, we look at the roster a lot. I study it a lot, and then here comes Jonah Morris and Walter Brady. Looks like they've obviously gotten with this thing pretty quickly.
Yeah, you know, I think you should always, and I think we would be crazy not to keep 2 or 3 scholarships available to the last minute, because things happen. And the longer you're in this business, the more you have contacts in this business. You know, Jonah Morris was from Hoban. Jonah, probably, if not the player of the year in our county, was one of the top players. I know he was offensive player of the player, and went to Indiana, and then the coach left, the new coach came in, they wanted to play defense, he wanted to be a wide receiver. He's a pretty good wide receiver, you know. He gives us a guy that can step right in with 3 years of eligibility left. Then he had a waiver because he had some family problems. Right. He didn't want to come be close to his family. He could have only gone to us or Kent and played right away if his waiver was granted, which it was. And so that's been huge for us. Walter Brady, on the other hand, he was at Middle Tennessee, and Rick Stockstill, the head coach, played with Jeff, played with Todd, played for my dad at Florida State, called us when Walter was going to go out and go to a Power 5 school, and the scholarships weren't available, so he kind of got stuck out there, and we got a call with about 3 weeks left, you know. And so he is a graduate who is ready to go to grad school, and he gives us a defensive end that's more like a 4-3 defensive end. You know, you got Jamal Davis, who's a linebacker type, and
Ward,
Sampson, Ward. These guys can run, and they're 225, 240. He's 265 and plays real thick. He'll be that bigger 4-3 defensive end that plays like a tackle almost. So it did give us some nice. We moved Brian Rinke over to tight end,
right,
which gives you a tight end's over 6'1". You know? But most of our tight ends look like H-backs, and that's why we play so much H-back.
Coach, final question for me.
This is your first question too, John.
We'll take one away after the game on Saturday.
Yeah. You've taken your team into Pittsburgh and beat Pitt. You almost beat Michigan and Ann Arbor. Does it help that you have coached in those type of venues going into Nebraska now?
I mean, it helps me. I think personally, from a standpoint of anything can happen. Anything can happen. Is Nebraska better than Pittsburgh was that year? You don't know. But were they better than Michigan? Because I think Michigan went 11-0 the year before, and then were 6-0 when they played us. I want to say they were about to fall apart. I mean, if you remember, they were about to fall apart, but they were still riding a pretty good streak. I think most importantly is the players need to have that feeling that they can go in there and be relaxed and go out there and play their best. I think the players have. I've been on both ends of it. I've been at the Power 5 level playing a team that we're supposed to wipe the field with and being in trouble. I think we might have been running a 13-14 game winning streak at Auburn, and we were getting beat by, I won't say New Mexico State with about a minute left to end that streak. It was somebody like that, you know, and I can't remember. Well, this is welcome to college football. It can happen any week, you know. And so, you know, the more you're there, the more you can relax. But it will be, I try to be one. Thank goodness that football has to be won or lost on the field. 11 people are going to line up on the field to play against 11 other people, and it's going to be a football game that's got to be won by how you play the game. But with all that said and done, for our young men at Akron to have the life experience of going into Memorial Stadium and being a part of that experience, college football is such a great thing. For them to be able to do that, regardless of the outcome, it's going to be a part of their life they'll never forget.
And then, we flying blind on the kickoffs? Are we telling people to fair catch them?
We tried to watch the games that have already been played. We don't see a lot of difference. People are returning kicks.
Yeah.
They're my thought was, being most of my life calling plays and running offense, you put the ball on 25-yard line, I'll take it every time. Because over the years as a head coach, on kickoff returns, all I think about is a penalty. Because they love to throw penalties on kickoff returns, and that puts you inside the 10, and that affects maybe the entire first quarter field position.
Right.
And so you put me 1st and 10 on the 25-yard line, I'm gonna fair catch every single one of them, I think. Unless somebody screws up and line drives and one, you got an easy return or something, or you're getting beat pretty good and your offense hadn't done much, you needed something big to happen. I think we're trying to play all those scenarios out. But I think a lot of college football will just be getting a feel for the new kickoff return rules, on whether we should try to return or we should take it on the 25 if we fair catch. Because if you fair catch and muff it,
right,
it's dead right there. Or you fall on it, you better pick it up and run, because you fall on it, it's on 3. So it's a 4, wherever it is. So there's some interesting things that are going to play out on that kickoff return.
Coach, I'll Joe's question. How do you best simulate going into a stadium like Nebraska's during this span as you've been getting ready for this game?
Well, you have crowd noise, and so you've got, usually you play crowd. We'll probably play crowd noise tomorrow at the stadium. Glad you mentioned that, because I haven't thought of my crowd noise yet. Is we play real extreme crowd noise, because if there anybody that's ever coached or played in a big stadium, 85,000 or more, you can't hear. And so the fans can keep you from hearing, so you got to be able to communicate without hearing each other's voice. And that's maybe the biggest thing, is that you don't have penalties, illegal procedures and things like that from the crowd noise. Because in the MAC, nothing against the MAC, but I can pretty much yell to my quarterback in any stadium in the MAC what play it is out there, whether it's a 20,000 people or 10. That's about the averages in our conference. You put 85,000 out there and they're all for the other team, they'll make enough noise where you can't communicate except by sound, signal, or sound, or vision. And so that's something we need to, that's mostly what you need to work on is it's funny, the more you coach in the bigger stadiums and the more noise, the more it's like background noise. You don't, it's like if there's a little stadium and one lady's up there screaming at you every time you call a bad play, you hear every word she says. But when 85,000 people are behind you, you just hear a roar, But you can hear that one lady. Usually when it's your mother, it's even worse.
That is true.